Welcome to the Flames of War field manual from the Dice Gods. In today's video we're going to look a little bit closer at getting started with version 4, what you'll need and what you won't. Note, we're not going to be looking too deeply at tables and terrain in this video though, that's a whole discussion of its own. The field manual is brought to you with the support of the new 15mm World War II Normandy pre-painted scenery range from Micro Studio. Watch to the end of the video to find an exclusive code to give you 10% off your orders with Micro Studio until the 30th of June 2023. Also, don't forget to comment on this video to be in with a chance to win one of two sets of Hit the Beach, the 2-player Late War starter set for Flames of War, with one set coming with some of the aforementioned Micro Studio 15mm World War II Normandy pre-painted scenery as well. Your first comment on each field manual video will count as an entry. The competition will close at midnight Central European Time on the 5th of March 2023, with winners announced a week later. So where do you begin with Flames of War? Well, one thing that is always important with a war game is the rules. The main rules for Flames of War are available as a book, but to be honest, you'll end up with plenty of copies of the A5 rulebook as you go along anyway. These small form factor complete rules appear in the starter forces, which come out with each sourcebook, and in the 2-player starter sets. So unless you're not planning to get either a starter force or a starter set, you won't actually need to buy the rules. The game is progressing chronologically through the war, covering different theatres of combat as we go along. Each nation which was involved in that theatre then gets a sourcebook for their available formations, units and vehicles, plus some new miniatures. As to which of these sourcebooks you'll actually need, that will come down to possibly one of the most difficult questions you'll face in this or any war game. Which nation am I going to choose? Picking an army will come down to which you want to play. Each nation has its own specific flavour. Germans, for example, are often very elite, but cost a lot of points, so you get less in your force. By comparison, the Soviets are a bit rubbish, so tend to be cheap, giving you the option for more bodies and more armour on the board. Once you've picked your nation, you can select a sourcebook. For late war, these will vary by nation. For example, D-Day doesn't have a Soviet book, as they weren't involved. Equally, Bagration, the operation where the Soviets began to push the Germans out of their country, is an era which has books for Soviets and Germans, but not for British and Americans. Each sourcebook then has a set of unit cards, command cards, and a starter box. The starter force is a great value way to get into an army, heavily discounted. Each starter force contains a set of units which come into around 100 points, decals, a full small-size rulebook, quick start rules, and a guide to building your minis. The starter force will be focused around a specific formation inside the source book that it's for, and you will find details of how that can be put together inside of the source book, as well as in the quick start guide within the box. The command cards are there to add some flavour and historical options to the core book. They contain cards which you can pay points to field to represent a specific force, historical figure, or add in more exotic units to your list. For new players, these aren't really a must-have. Check out our video on the Bulge British command cards for more information on these. Link at the top. The unit cards are a complete set of cards with stats, points and rules for all units within a specific sourcebook. They are copies of what you'll find within the sourcebook, but they're a much more convenient way to play the game, letting you have all the stats in arm's reach rather than needing to flick back and forth within the book. Note, however, that the starter force comes with unit cards for the recommended build of the box, and many units also come with unit cards in the box when you buy them, so your mileage and use of these will vary. You can also pick up gaming tins, which we would highly recommend. They contain a set of dice and essential tokens which you will be using a lot in game, so these are a great help, especially when learning the game, as you won't need to make notes of which troops are pinned down and which are in foxholes. You'll have a little token for that. There's also a range of 2-player starter sets available, including the previously mentioned Hit the Beach, Fury, Kasserine and Tobruk. These differ in the era that they represent and the size of forces contained within them. But if you and a friend are looking to get into the game, this is a great way to get started. Cost-wise, a starter force which includes the rulebook, a sourcebook, gaming tin and command cards will cost you less than €160, and in most cases will give you a 100-point force to get started with. Extra units then vary in price from 15 to 60 euros depending on what you're getting, though have a look around because there are many online stores which do offer discounts. Speaking of discounts, if you're after a deal, our friends at Micro Studio have given us a 10% discount code to give our field manual viewers. So use the code on screen now to get 10% off of anything and everything you order from Micro Studio from now until the 30th of June 2023. Note that the new 15mm pre-painted MDF terrain for Flames of War from Micro Studio will be out around March, so you could pick up a sweet deal on the table of terrain then. Just saying. And that's our introduction to Flames of War version 4, a fun, exciting war game with some great minis and scope for both the casual and historical gamer to enjoy themselves. Look out for the next field manual video where we'll be discussing what you need to start the game in more detail. Oh, and don't forget to drop a comment below and to be in with the chance to win a copy of Hit the Beach and some of that new 50mm World War II Normandy pre-painted Micro Studio terrain. Now, give this video a like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when the next one drops, and so YouTube knows that we're an interesting channel. And if you're loving what we're doing, please consider joining our Patreon for more field manual goodies and resources coming soon. For now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.